Hello, Daisy.
Hello, Shira.
How are you, my friend?
No, it's a beautiful hump day. It's good. I got a lot of energy today.
You know, it's so funny. I never think about that anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
I
well,
don't ever call it that anymore. I don't know why.
I don't know why it stood out to me today.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know what day it is these days, so it's fine. Just like if it's in my calendar, I do it. If it's not in my calendar, who knows? Who
Don't
knows?
get me started. I got a date wrong with a client. I was supposed to, apparently, I signed up to go with an event with her, but I put it a month later in April. And she goes, "You coming tomorrow?" I said, "No,
You go,
I'm
yep.
not on my calendar." So,
Oh my
anyway.
God. All right. Well, I think we should probably get started. Welcome to the Glass House, where we look at organizations from the inside and the outside to expose the gap between what's embedded and what's actually embodied in organizations. I'm Shara
Hi.
Halixer. I am the founder and chief momentum officer of Engage 3P.
Hi, I'm Daisy Watkins, founder at DW Concepts and LumaPath.ai.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And clearly, we don't know how to use our calendars, so that's good. I will pause this by saying too that I typically will have at least one technical difficulty every episode. So let's see what I do today. We're off to a pretty good start at the moment, so fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I have also been saying this every week, and I really do mean it. We are so appreciative that you're here joining us today. We know there are lots of options out there. You chose us. We thank you. We don't take that lightly. You could also do nothing, and that would be good too. So we would really love to hear from you. Please. Hello, Heather. I saw a comment. So Heather's off and running. I'm so excited. We definitely want to hear from everyone. Give us your comments, give us your questions. I will say there's a high bar. Last week we had phenomenal engagement, so we want to step it up. And I will announce this officially today. We have had the best response and attendance of any episode we've had. So amazing. This group rocks. I'm so excited. Okay. Well, okay, we just have to say Daisy now has buttons available for sound. Just bear with us. We don't know what we're going to get, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Okay, I want to kick us off. We're going to try to do this intro quickly because I'm so excited about our guest today and the topic today, and it's near and dear to my heart. I want to ask one question. Think about the last time your organization underwent a major transformation initiative and it didn't land the way that you thought it would, the way it was supposed to. Leadership said that was resistance. People didn't want it. The debrief said, oh, the timeline was off. The technology didn't work the way we planned. Oh, it was all budget, right? All of these reasons why it didn't succeed, or worse, they say it did, and that's a different topic, and we'll get to that on another episode. But what if none of that was really the reason? What if this failed because it wasn't built for a cultural operating system for your people to run on? That's the question.
So, the question is exactly what we are going to unpack today. And what I want to add, and then I want to add something to that, Shira, is to add something to it from my world, because it is not just about internal problem. When your transformation is designed for one cultural operating system, your external communications are too. The way you announce the change, the language you use, the assumptions baked into the messaging, all of it runs in one frequency. Okay. And AI doesn't read your value statement, it reads your behavioral patterns at scale. So if your people are experiencing a gap between what was promised and what was delivered, the outside world can see that gap too. Okay. Often before leaders even announce them internally. So that's the issue.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? We've talked about this episode after episode after episode. Everything is visible now, right? That's why we're doing this podcast. It isn't about AI as a platform. We love AI, we use AI, we support AI. It's all great, but it is exposing the cracks. It's exposing the things that we didn't think were out there before. And so we're going to talk about a specific statistic I'm going to bring it up in just a few minutes, but I'm going to announce it here just to get you all thinking about this a little bit. Gartner, one of the prime sources of information in the business world, said that only 30.
Oops, sorry.
That's
Sorry.
okay. I gave
See,
you access.
I got the technical problem today.
I got you access. Oh my God. Only 34%, we can leave that, Daisy. We can put it up later when Carol comes on, but only 34% of organizational change initiatives are truly considered a success. 50% clear failures. 16% are kind of ambiguous. 80% of employees experience cultural tension during any time of change. These are huge numbers, especially when we've all seen those slides, we've all used those slides. Oh, your program's not going to work if you don't have change management, right? So we're going to get all into this. And this is not a coincidence. It is a design flaw. And it's a flaw that really nobody is talking about directly. Not Kotter, not Prosci ADKAR, not Lewin, none of the big name players are really talking about how culture needs to be a part of the operating system of any kind of initiative. And I am planting that seed right now because when we come back, when we come back to look at our real life example, when we do our outside it story in, it's interesting. I couldn't find a real proof point. Think about that, right? Nothing that talked about this was published. And so we're going to talk later about why I think that is and, what's going on. And I just thought that was really interesting, and we're going to get into it during our episode.
Wow, Shira, that's so interesting. Can't wait for this later, that's for sure. Also, what's so striking about this is that it's not a new problem. These change management frameworks have been around for decades. We've been using this for decades, which means we have been misdiagnosing this for decades as well. We're calling it resistance, blaming the people when the design never really gave them the chance to really begin with.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? If we don't give them the opportunity, how are they ever going to know? How are they ever going to succeed? Which, I think is incredible. So, okay, we got to get into our guest in the room. This is not just someone I respect, and will bring great value to this conversation. She has spent more than 30 years designing and navigating organizational transformations from both sides of the table. She has built these changes from the inside. She has experienced them as a practitioner. Carol has watched them fail for all the reasons nobody names and for all the reasons they do. So we're going to talk about that. And on a personal and very special note, Carol's going to talk a little bit about the trustee of the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation later, and is the co-founder of the Leslie Way ASF Scholarship Fund, established in honor of her sister, Leslie Fitzgerald Dahl, to support exceptional STEM scholars who dare to dream big and live large. So we're going to talk about at the end. My friend, Carol Fitzgerald Tyler, welcome to the Glass House. Hello. Wait, I muted you too. So that's good. I won't let you talk.
Don't do that. Daisy's got the right button to push. So what a lovely welcome. And thank you so much. I'm honored to be here today.
Well, it's so great to have you. I appreciate you taking the time. I know how busy you are, which is crazy. I want to welcome, we've got a few people that said hello. So hello to our guests. And we want to hear obviously from everyone. So I threw a lot in the intro, Carol, right, around change and that statistic in particular. And I'm going to, just for the sake of it, I'm going to go ahead and put this number up here because we're going to just kick off strong, right? This is huge. And I said in the intro, we all used those slides when we were selling change management. 70% of all change management, of all initiatives fail without change management, which I have said, and I will say again, that was entirely made up. That was never a true statistic. There is nothing behind it. But this one's Gartner. This is big, right? And I would love for you to talk about this and give us your ideas.
Absolutely. And, the 70% has been circulating since I think time began with organizational change, whenever that happened to have been. But I think that, from my perspective, so I just kind of want to tell a little bit of a story of how I got involved into change management. I did not start there. I started with a company called Lawson Software many, many moons ago as the accounts payable help desk person. And one thing I learned there that really resonates to me to this day is when people called the helpline, they needed help. They were desperate. They were uptight. They were concerned. They were trying to deal with problems that they maybe didn't know how to deal with. And right there and then, you start to hear change. You start to hear resistance. You start to hear concern. But what I really took from that and continue to take from that is we can have the best project plan on the planet. We can have the best implementation intentions. We can have the best top down, here's our objectives and here's what we're going to do. But if we don't take the time to hear the voices of those being impacted by the change will only be 34% clearly successful. Because if you don't hear the people and the voices and the personality, this is a bit of a controversial statement that some hardcore pro-sci people say I'm ridiculous for saying this, but organizations have personalities, divisions within organizations have personalities, regions within organizations have personalities. Finance has a different personality than payroll, than HR, etc. Right. And if you don't take the time to understand the big personality and the littler personalities, you will not be successful, because you will try to implement something that nobody wants or understands. Once you hear the personality and learn, I mean, I'll tell another story. You know, one of the best ways I learned change management and this theory that I have about personality, I used to sit in the warehouses and in the basement of hospitals when I was working on a healthcare system. And I would sit with the guys that worked on the dock and drank a whole lot of really bad coffee. I mean, we're talking really bad coffee. But I heard them, I heard their nervousness, I heard how to make it easier for them to look good with their personalities. And that was kind of the beginning of my theory that organizations have personalities and we need to honor those in order to help shift them into whatever initiative they want to go into.
Right. And it doesn't have to be a technology change too, right? It isn't about the thing that is changing. I've said this over and over again, right? We don't need to teach people to do this anymore. Okay. And I had a conversation 2 days ago with a former colleague of ours from Infor, who will be a future guest, who has created this incredible agentic AI platform. And I'm not going to get into this because it blew my mind, but what agentic AI is doing is changing the functionality of software as a whole, right? We are no longer going to need screens and fields to enter data, right? So that whole kind of ERP, all that's going away ultimately. And so the idea of kind of how we adapt and adopt to anything, organizational change, leadership change, process change, you name it, it's all about the humans, right? I'm gonna start kick this off by saying it's why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I created change embodiment. It isn't about, oh, go do something differently. It's only about the humans. I mean, you and I have talked about humans. You and I have known each other for a very long time, and we've talked about the human element of all of it, right? If we don't engage the humans effectively, and I would go a step further and say the organization has a culture, the department has a culture, the individual has a culture, right? And it is so imperative that we understand. It doesn't mean that everyone has to become a different culture. It's just, and Daisy, this is kind of, leads into you. It's how do we communicate? And communication is not email. Communication is not a post on a intranet. Communication is not a town hall that nobody listens to. It's truly, how do we communicate effectively? How do we have conversation around what's happening in the organization.
And
Yeah,
I
so-
would, sorry,
sorry.
go ahead, Daisy.
Sorry, Carol. So part of, I'm just going to add a little bit to Shira. So part of it too is basic. Think about it as consistency, right? And coherence. So saying the same thing everywhere in different cultural audiences, and it's not just a broadcast. It's not real communication. So the messaging itself is the most critical part. To your point, Shira.
I would take this personality thing even just a tiny bit further. And Amrita, a new colleague of mine from Wipro, is like we've all said AI. And in fact, I've started crafting what I hope to be a good white paper on the intersection of AI and change management, because we're all doing it. Everybody is doing some form of AI, some form of it. But what does it really mean, and how does it work, quote unquote? There was something today that flashed up on LinkedIn to me that AI could potentially do user stories. Well, we have a customer that is in the middle of going from waterfall to agile and is kind of struggling with, what is a user story? What does it mean? Well, wouldn't it be interesting if we could embed the idea that AI could be a friend, AI could be a partner, not a replacement, and not a scary thing that's going to take away my job, right? And so, again, a lot of people have laughed at me throughout the years that you're an acknowledged empath. You think that it's all about being empathic and understanding people. Well, it is. And it's not just culture that we think is important. I've been so honored. I mean, the pandemic, nobody liked it, right? But in my current role, I was actually able to run transformation programs in Japan remotely, in Saudi Arabia remotely, in all these places. Why? Because it took that face-to-face time, even though we couldn't have it at that time, but that sit and have a cup of coffee, even remotely, makes all the difference in the world. And when we try to jam in some initiative that somebody had a bonus attached to, we try to jam it in, it does not work. It may work. It may look on the surface, oh yes, I checked this box and this box, and I had 3 town halls and 2 communications. When I first developed my own methodology for communications planning, I literally put it into sections of, finance, payroll, in this case, an ERP, finance, payroll, human resources, supply chain, and who needs to be the speaker. My biggest mistake that I made right off the bat was I was sending out emails to people and they're like, who is this person? Right. So I switched everything into who is the person that would be most respected? Who is the person that would have the most knowledge? Because I am not a supply chain expert. So I'm the writer, I'm the ghost writer, but I'm not the voice. The voice is the one that needs to make the connection to the personality.
So you brought up something. I'm going to pivot us for just a second. We're going to come back to this because this is really key. But you talked about Japan and Saudi Arabia, and you live in the US, and culture for me is also that, right? So working with people in different states, in different countries, in different regions, with different languages. I have experienced it as I've led teams around the world where people don't jive, right? Now, sometimes people just don't get on, right? That happens. We lost Carol.
It was to take care of that little cold that I've got.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, okay. Morning time. So sometimes people just don't get on, right? I understand that. Personalities, that happens. And culturally, we need to be mindful when we work with people globally, or not even globally, from Georgia to bless her heart to Boston, right? It's a different, it's not something that we think about, right? And people, I always love to tell this story. One of my favorite people in the entire world that I knew for 20 odd years was my very first client when I got to New York and was doing staffing. And Birdie, we lost her a couple of years ago. And Birdie talked like this. And she would say to me, "Oh, Shara, how are you?"
Mhm.
And you all know me, I'm like this, like, "Ah!" And I found
Mhm.
myself kind of, in her presence, calming down, communicating differently, picking up a different cadence. We became the closest of friends, like, truly. And she loved me for my craziness, and
Mhm.
I loved her. But if I kept at her the way that I do and the way that I naturally am, not that I'm not being authentic, but I had to be mindful of how she consumes it, right? How she's gonna take me in. And I think that that is so critical when it comes to changing anything, because it's how are they going to make sure that everything that's happening in this chaos that's being created
Mhm.
is also going to be embodied in the way that they work, the way they exist in their jobs and in their roles. It's too important.
So, Carol, here's a question for Carol in that perspective. Like I mentioned earlier, consistency versus coherence distinction is real, right? Consistency,
Mhm.
it's the same thing everywhere. So most organizations pass the test during the transformation. The CEO says something like, "We're transforming the internal communication,
Mhm.
transforming." The website says we're transforming. Great, they're consistent with that. But coherence to me means the message actually needs to resonate with the audience, to what Shira is saying and receiving it.
Mhm.
Saying the same thing to a team in Tokyo, to a team in Atlanta, and expecting it to run the same way isn't communication to me. It's broadcasting. And kind of
Mhm.
speaking about
That's
AI,
good.
picks
Broadcasting.
that up on which audiences are responding, which ones are going silent. So, question to you, Carol, is when you're rolling out a global transformation, do you do external communications to get the same cultural lens treatment as the internal ones?
Well, it's a really, really good question because no, you have to. I mean, again, I'm so lucky that in my career, I've worked in so many different places in the world and so many different cultures. But I'm going to use the Japanese company as a great example, right? So it was funny. We did a couple of things with them. Number one, we called it the octopus because they had Tokyo in the middle and they had 10 huge regions. So we called it the octopus, right? So each region was, I mean, there was an American region, there was a South American region, there was a Europe, I mean, all the different regions. But here's something that we did that united everybody. And then I'll come back to how the tones for the different places.
Yeah.
But we were sitting there thinking as a group um, with their team and my team at the time. And we're like, how can we launch this so that everybody could connect to it? We created Yoda. We did not, I wish I had created Yoda with George Lucas. I did not. But this was like the rise of the Mandalorian, the rise of Baby Yoda,
I have to
also
I have
known.
to stop you. Wait, I have to stop you for 1 second. For those who don't know, Carol is a science fiction,
Yes.
what is the word I wanna use? Super geek.
Aficionado. Yeah.
Super
Well,
geek.
yeah,
That geek
something like that.
aficionado, okay.
We were working together when this happened, and when I first she sent me the PowerPoint, and I was like, "Oh,
What you doing?
oh my god. Oh my god." But it was, I mean, it was brilliant. But go ahead. I just had to get, because there's a
Thank
reason
you.
behind that's Star Wars, right? That's Star Wars? I
Yes.
always
So what we did, I mean, and of course, a lot of people in Japan are very much science fiction aficionados, right? So the company's name started with Y. And what we did is we Yoda'd it into their initiative. And I got to produce a 5-minute video introducing the new project, how it was going to happen, graphics, music, the whole bit. It was so much fun, so delightful. But what it did, it wasn't about me enjoying myself as the writer, producer, etc. Everybody in the octopus got behind it. Every single person. That video still is living. I mean, this was what, 2020, 2021-ish. That
Yeah.
video is still alive and kicking because what it did is it said all these different personalities, what could unite them first? Now that happened, great. each one had its own personality. And for the particular Japanese hub, the center personality, we were able to get, which was truly incredible as a team, we were able to get the CEO to do a video in Japanese and in English, and his trickle down because of the culture really boosted everybody in their unity towards this seemingly impossible project during the pandemic. But that's, again, your normal, I'm not going to say normal, that's not right. A person who is following Prosci to the letter or ADKAR to the letter is not going to go, you know what, I was watching that Baby Yoda video on YouTube. Maybe we should do that. That's where a change management expert turns into an organizational transformation experience. It goes from the check the box to how are we really going to turn this organization into what its objectives are. We don't want to change the objective. We want to align to it, understand it, and speak to those people in all those different places, sometimes using a different tone of voice than you would
So,
to,
sorry.
you know, here, there, and everywhere. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
talking too much.
No, I'm
Tell
sorry.
me to stop.
I'm just gonna, this is a perfect tie-in. Heather had this really great comment, right? And I think it's valid. You said check the box. And to me, that is what traditional OCM does. It ticks a bunch of boxes. I did this list. I have this list. I sent a communication. I did
a
this.
change impact assessment. Great.
Great. It's
Good for
done.
you.
Did anybody look at it? Did anybody do anything about it? Did anybody care? Was there any outcome in any of that? How did it impact the humans? Did you talk? So this is number one, Heather, thank you, where when AI works with the humans in the loop, it takes out, it removes that mechanism of the stuff that we have to do that we don't want to necessarily do. And so it gives us more time to be more creative, to be more engaged, to be much more able to have the idea that you had, because I know you work 43 hours a day, that will give maybe somebody would have had the opportunity to have an idea that could be, pardon the pun, transformative in the program, but for not just ticking boxes. So I wholly support and encourage people to leverage AI tools to be able to tick those boxes, because it will give that opportunity to be more creative, be more of a thought leader, do things that we wouldn't normally do, and move away from just checking the boxes. I'm not saying the boxes are bad, but guess what? AI can do it. And agentic AI can do it even better. And so I think the idea that if we just sit back and say, we tick the boxes, we're going to go back to that Gartner study and 50% are going to be outright failures. And I would assert that that's even generous. I would assert that, that people are afraid to talk about the failure and they don't necessarily, right? I mean, you and I have some stories that in our days of, oh, look how great, everything went live, or oh, it's so good.
Yeah, going live is great,
Right?
but it doesn't make a damn bit of difference other than sometimes there's good cake.
Oh,
God, you
absolutely.
get cake? Who gets cake?
I've had cake. I've had cake a couple times. I've had balloons a couple times.
We had cake at Elbit. We had good cake at Elbit.
Yeah. Elbit was, well,
yeah, we had
of
good
course
cake.
it was good cake. It was
Of
maybe
course it was good
cheesecake.
cake.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
we had really good cake. So Daisy, you know, let's go back to kind of talking about communication again, right? And the understanding of communication and the cultural impact of communication, right? Because that's also the other part of it. People learn and hear things differently based on age, based on culture, based on experience, based on, you know, our own. I say this all the time because from an HR perspective, I say email and text messaging and messaging and Teams and Slack and WhatsApp, that is not communication. That is information, right? And there is no tone, there is no understanding, there is nothing there that is communicative other than that information. but we need to be able to have those conversations and to have people in the room either physically or remotely, right? And so culturally, that is a huge part of the success or failure of anything. I would assert that's probably the biggest part of it.
You're absolutely right. So if someone says, did we address culture in our transformation? There's a difference between addressing the culture and addressing the culture and designing the culture, right? That's kind of part of it too. So addressing culture means adding a communication plan that acknowledges the difference. Designing for culture means the transformation itself is built differently depending on the cultural operating systems that you're deploying it to the people. So more organizations do the first and then call it the second. Is that what your experience has been, Carol?
That's interesting.
Sometimes, yes. Again, I've been accused of being too empathic and understanding, but when I look at a communication plan, I look at the strategy, right? I mean, so again, what's the personality? But there's phases, right? I mean, there's phases to communication. There's the town hall, right? I was speaking yesterday, the day before, to a colleague who has 20,000 people in their organization and they want a town hall, which is great. There's nothing wrong with the broadcast. But then what are you going to do? What are you going to do with the broadcast? Are you going to take it to this group of people? Are you going to take it to that group of people? How do you culturally, I mean, every organization has a communication culture. How do we, as good stewards of change management, how do we take that personality and make sure that that initiative, whatever it is, it could be, I'm going to transform my Oracle practice. I'm going to, do a digital contract management. I'm going to do a payroll reboot. Whatever that is, how do we make it real to Daisy, to Shira, to Heather, to Amrita? What matters to them? If you can unlock that cultural piece of communication, you will never suffer from resistance.
So it's the so what, right? And everybody's different. Everybody cares about something different.
Exactly.
And we can't find in a 20,000 person organization, you're not going to hit every single person, right? That's fine. But I think that I will push back a little bit on communication teams within organizations. Do they even understand what culturally fits across an organization? Are they vetting
well,
the way that they
sometimes
communicate? Maybe. I mean, I'd love to know from the people who are on today, what is the best or worst experience? I'd love to hear some best and worst experiences of communication inside organizations from a cultural perspective. I spoke about one, Carol, you're going to remember this well. I spoke about the video that the last president of Lawson did. Do you remember this? Before he left. And I think his intention was good. I think his intention was to say goodbye to everybody. It missed the mark in a way that I've never seen a bigger failure, because here's a guy going, I don't know what I'm going to do now. After this big merger, I'm going to go fishing, or I'm going to go on a Montana dude ranch, or I'm going to go to the moon, or I'm going to go play baseball. And meanwhile, thousands of people were losing their jobs that day. And so
it was a bit tone deaf, to put it politely.
So I think that there is, again, the understanding of what really is communication. That communicated really well, right? That hit all out of the park, right? From a very negative perspective. And I don't know that when it comes to change management, right? That's the first thing that we're looking for, is what is the best way to get this across to your organization? How do we kick this off? How do we ensure that people are aware? I've experienced many times, and Carol, I think you have too, people have no idea what's going on. Surprise! We're going to do something new, right? No lead up. You don't walk into your home and tell your children, surprise, we're moving to a new country, right? Like, surprise, we're getting a divorce. Like these are not, you know, but these are massive changes that organizations are doing, and they're like springing them on them, right? There's no lead up, there's no understanding, it's crazy. We got a
Mhm.
comment here. Oh, Heather got a
Right.
really good one. Okay, I'm gonna you talk and then I'll read Heather's comment because it's great.
So part of what you're saying, Shira, is like whether the change was designed for the people who were supposed to adopt it versus, not designed for them in terms of benefit. They're designed for the operating system culturally and how they receive that information, how they process, authority. And that's really how silence is met in that culture when you're designing it not for the people that are supposed to be working on it, like it's part of that change. So I think that's also missed in that communication part. So anyway,
And I've read the comment, which is
Okay,
fascinating
go.
and completely understandable. But, a lot of people in my career have said, oh, these are soft skills. Well, I'm here to
Mm,
tell you, there is nothing soft about being a great communicator. I am a massive fan of Winston Churchill. In fact, my bookcase over here is littered with Churchillisms, one of which I live by, which is action this day, number one. But number two, I oftentimes think about the great communicators, the great orators of history. And Winston Churchill, I mean, number one, he was a big failure in many ways. And when he became the prime minister during World War II, he rallied and understood the pain of the people that he was rallying. I mean, he basically talked about the soft skills. I know, I feel your pain. I understand your fears. I did all these things. And ultimately, and one of his quotes is victory at all costs.
mhm.
Victory happened at all. I mean, he was able to rally a nation in the one of their darkest times in history because he was, as a leader, understanding of the plight and speaking to it, not around it, not through it, but to it. And sure, I know when you and I went to the war rooms,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
and
yeah.
listened
So
to his
amazing,
voice, listen to
amazing.
his voice. And that again was so inspirational to me that nobody is too big to take time to be a good communicator. I don't care if you're the head of Citibank. I don't care if you're the prime minister of Finland. I happen to like Finland. I don't care if you're
Enjoy
whoever
that.
you are. You put your pants on the same way everybody else does, and you should take the time to
Yeah,
not dismiss things as soft skills. You should take the time to understand you are a human having a human experience with other humans and treat people with kindness, respect, and don't try to jam change down their throat.
no,
Invite them to it,
right.
include them in it. And that's what Churchill did so absolutely brilliantly.
I
And
will say too.
that's,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's, I mean, it,
I will
it gives
say,
me goosebumps just thinking about his
yeah,
speeches.
I will say two things on that. If you're in London, go. It is one of the
Go,
most incredible
absolutely.
experiences to go to the war rooms
Even
to
with
see.
my broken arm, remember? I mean, my
Right.
arm was like smashed to bits and we're trudging through the war rooms.
It was unbelievable, unbelievable. I think you hit on something though that we're not here to talk about leadership today. That's something for
No,
another day.
bring me
That's
back. I got
yes,
things to
100%. That's
say.
a 47-hour conversation. But I think that great leaders, truly great leaders, are great communicators because people
Mhm.
want to follow them and people want to listen to them and that's an expectation of somebody who's leading a team, a process. A leader doesn't have to lead people. A leader can be a leader of a process that other people use, right? A leader is an individual. It's a state of being. It's not a role. And so people will not follow and will not listen if they
Mm-mm.
can't respect. And it goes to what Daisy and I talk about week after week after week after week. It is authenticity. We can smell the bullshit. Everyone can smell the bullshit. And when we do,
Mhm.
right, we back up. because it stinks and we don't want to be a
Mhm.
part of it. And I think that when it comes to any kind of change that I see go on in companies, whatever that is, it could be the smallest thing, right? If we think it's bullshit, if we think they're not telling us the truth, if we think that our leaders and our managers are not in it with us, oh look, we have a new guest. Then our
Oh,
mascot's here. Then we're not going to participate. We're not going to engage. We're not going to be excited about it. And so I want to lead that into our outside story in and why we don't have one for today. So Carol, every week I go out and I hunt down, and Daisy and I hunt down something to really say, look, this is the topic we're talking about, and here's some real life examples of this. Here's where we have proof in the field that this is going on. Here's a Reddit, a mainstream media, a glass, something that says, yes, the world is saying this. And when I couldn't find anything, I thought, uh-oh. And then I thought, why not? Because those statistics, that Gartner study was buried. Nobody's putting that on the website.
No. Why would they?
Why would they? And nobody's talking about this, I think, for the reason that we've just addressed here, which is this is hard work.
It's
This is
super hard.
this is not a tick of a box. It's, and selfishly, I'm going to say it's why I created Change Embodiment, because over 20 years, yes, I started when I was 3, over 20 years of this. 4. Okay, I was 4. I saw it over and over and over again, right? I brought up the, hey, wait a second, look over here. There's a problem. No, Shara, just do that communication plan. We don't want to hear about it. Just get your team to do this. We're not interested in that. No, they'll be fine that they're burning out and they're telling you that they can't do their jobs, and nobody cares because we've got to get this done. We're on a deadline. We have a budget. Well, guess what? No, it's not going to work. And culture is such a broad term when we talk about this, but that's what it's about, right? 47% of people, this statistic's going to blow everybody away. 40% of people in an organization who participate in a change program, a significant change program, leave. Leave.
They're tired. They have fatigue.
They have fatigue because nobody's paying attention to what is going on. They are doing 2, 3 jobs at the time, right? And is that the culture an organization is about? No, you need to go do your day job from 8 to 5, and you need to be the subject matter expert on this program. Because
remember National Grid? Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have any money to backfill you. And that's not a slam against that particular organization.
no,
That's a
it was
narrative. The other narrative that you get all the time is, oh, we can't put change management into the transformation budget. Oh, but you can fix it $500 million later?
Or
Okay.
we just want training.
Yeah, we just want, I love that one. That's my favorite. Oh, training is all we need. Okay.
Because you need people to do this today.
Well, yeah. And I mean, to your point, I think, these are amazing things. But again, it's, as you were talking, I was thinking about other examples of great leaders. Travelers Insurance has a CEO named Alan Schnitzer. And I have friends that work there, and they oftentimes shared some of his emails, his communication emails, particularly the ones sent during the pandemic. How can I help you? How can I help you? What can we do to make this easier for you? What do you need to do your jobs better? They transitioned within 4 days to remote work because their leader took the time to listen to people and speak their language. And he is one of the greatest examples of a phenomenal CEO communication that I've ever seen in 200 years of doing this, because it addresses the emotions. There, I said it.
Right, because God forbid we bring emotion to our lives. I think it was, Daisy, was it last week or the week before, I told the story. I'm not going to go into the whole long story, but when I sent an email to Arnie Sorensen, the former CEO of Marriott, about the experience that I had had with people over all my travels. and he sent, and I, thought I'll get some, stock answer from somebody.
Mhm.
And before when I got on the plane to fly back from London, not our trip, a different trip, and my phone was blowing up from the people that I had mentioned in the email to him, and they said, "What did you do? What did you do?" And then it makes me cry thinking about it. And then I got an email from Arnie Sorensen
Himself. Good.
himself. And the reason I know it's from him is because at the bottom of the email it said, "Please ignore any typos as this was sent from my iPhone." Now, when the CEO of one of the largest companies in the world, and you know
Mm.
what he did? He phoned the general managers of each of the properties I mentioned. And those
Mhm.
GMs told their people what I said. One of them, she said she got a bouquet of flowers that was a bit taller than she was from her GM.
Mhm.
Now, that is communication.
And that's
That
cultural understanding.
that's what it is.
It's matching tone to tone. It's matching now, is everybody gonna be a cultural guru? No. Is,
No.
the generate so and again, I'm gonna just quickly because I was thinking about generational. We've got culture from, 21 to, people don't retire anymore.
No.
Some people don't retire anymore. Um, but culture is different on all different planes, but
Mm.
when we as practitioners, we as caring executives, we as leaders, we as humans take the time to understand that culture of the person with whom you're talking to, you bring in that authenticity. I was on a call yesterday with a phenomenal group of ladies, and we were talking about the fact that being authentic is the winning recipe to culture, to transformation, and no BS.
No.
Quite honestly, people
No.
you're right, they smell it a mile away. Oh, and this comment about the JC Penney relocation is the perfect thing. Oh, it's going to be okay. No, it's not.
No.
The Lawson. Oh, it's going to be okay. No, it's not. Tell me, rip off the damn band-aid and
Right.
be real.
Right.
That's how you culturally align to people. Not rude, but
No.
real. And Japan is different than India, is different than Saudi, is different than Israel, is different than Georgia, is different than Canada, is different than California. Everybody's different. And
Mhm.
that's okay. That's what makes this so much fun
It does. It
and
does.
meaningful when it works. Being meaningful, how incredible the high from hugging somebody who was in tears because they didn't know how to do something and then they did is indescribable and such an honor.
I had a really interesting experience when I was doing software implementation. I was running a team, and it was back with on-prem software that we used to customize. And so the client would give us specs as to what they wanted the software to do, and I sent it off to my team, Daisy in the Philippines. And then they'd send it back and somebody would put it in because I have no ability to do any of that nonsense. And it it didn't work. And I said to the team, guys, I don't understand why it's not working. It, what I get the specs and stuff. They said, yeah, we knew it wasn't going to work. I said, well, why didn't you tell me? And they said, because you're our boss and we can't tell you.
Exactly. The
And I
big
said,
boss.
I'm the
Mhm.
boss. And I said, honey, if I told you to take 5 steps and the third one had you plummeting to your death, would you take the third step? I said, so I had to give them permission. It was culturally unacceptable for them to tell me that what I gave them was wrong.
Mhm.
It was an
Mhm.
insult in the way that they were thinking. Daisy, tell me if I'm right or not, but it was an insult to them that I would say this is wrong. And so the idea, and now we lost Daisy, and the idea that I couldn't say to them, you need to do that. So we worked on that for a very, very, very long time
Mhm.
in order for
Mhm.
them to understand it's okay. It's okay for you to tell me it doesn't work because then
Mhm.
we're going to figure it out and it's going to be better. And that took both of us to figure that out. right?
Mhm.
I did not know that was a cultural thing for this group of people. And it might have been specific just to them and to this office, I don't know, but it made me mindful of, wait a second, I need to think about how I'm talking to people when it's not what I normally do. And this was, an eye-opening experience for me. It was
For sure.
incredible. Yeah,
And Heather just put in all caps, trust.
right?
One of the greatest gifts that you can bring to your
Yeah,
life and your business life is the ability to engender trust.
right.
I'm working on an opportunity right now where there were some glitches at the very beginning, and I called the procurement person and I said, here's what's really happening behind the scenes. And I ask for your trust to figure it out,
Right.
because I went literally and opened the kimono and said, here's what's really going on. Can
Right.
you trust me to fix it?
Right.
And we're on the cusp of making it a very real opportunity. But trust is not easy. It's, again, culturally, different cultures feel very different about trusting. But
Mhm.
if you come to something, transformation, culture, with the open mind and the honor in your own life that
Right.
you will be trusted. You will not listen, and you won't, one of my employees likes to say kiss and tell, but you won't tell on
Right.
people. You will listen to them and hold that into yourself. That, again, is a massive gift to help transformations succeed, not fail.
Well, and I think, oh, and I just want to call out my friend Richard, who couldn't stay, but thank you, Richard, for coming. I'll see you tomorrow. I think that, Daisy, it looks like lost power. So
And
we're
here
gonna
we
wait.
are, but I'm
And
here. I'm good.
I'm here. We're good. We miss you, Daisy. So come back if you can. Um, I think the interesting thing about trust, though, too, and all of this when it comes to culture, and I want to be mindful of time, Carol, because I want you to be able to speak a little bit about the foundation. I think that's
Thank
really
you.
important. So I want to protect that time a little bit. Um, you know, I would suggest to anybody that's going into any situation, right? Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Don't
Exactly.
assume to know everything.
Don't
Say,
fear. Don't
don't
fear
fear it.
looking stupid.
Well, nobody knows everything. I know some people think they do, they don't. Let's just not go there. But I think that saying, I learned this, a really long time ago when I first got into software sales, and someone said to me, "If someone asks a question you don't know, say, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna find
Right.
out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna find out. Let me get back to you. Give me whatever you need. Give me a day, give me a week, I'll be back." And then
Mm-hmm.
follow up. That's what builds the trust. But
Mm-hmm.
but don't just sit there and say yes or no, or when you don't know, you're not gonna that's not gonna bring trust into a relationship. We Everything that we do, this is where, when you use the E word, right? The dreaded E word at work. AI is, again, I'm gonna go back to AI for a second. It's great, okay? But companies are still made up of humans. They're always gonna be made up
Mm-hmm.
of humans. There are always gonna be humans involved. And more so, we're gonna need to trust each other in ways because we can validate things differently and easier than we could
Mm-hmm.
before. It's easier to lie before AI and before the Google, right? It was easier to lie. I could tell you something, you didn't know if it was true or not. And so I think that understanding that culture is critical, and we need to be very mindful of walking into situations where there's a lot that we don't know. And so to say
Mm-hmm.
something as simple as, how do you want how what works best for this organization?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where are your successes? Where have you not seen success? How do we ensure that you're going to be successful here? Let's talk about that for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Mind
What?
blowing.
What? What?
What?
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
what one thing that I think about, that you've told me, well, you've told me many things, but that I think about, but this particular thing is, and I ask myself this all the time, what don't I know?
how do you want
And
right.
you taught me that is, we, many of us want to be the smartest person in the room. I prefer to not be the smartest person in
Me
the room
too.
because that's how I learn things.
Me
And
too.
what don't I know? And in your voice literally echoes in my head a lot, because I don't want to be that some change people have a, especially if they're pro-sci, or, and I'm not besmirching these things, but again, at the end of the day, I don't know what I don't know. I don't know. I walk into 59 different companies in a year. I don't know what their culture is, and I want to learn.
Right.
And that to me is also the makings of a great transformational practitioner is, are you curious?
Right.
Do you want to know how people feel? It's messy. It's
Yeah.
messy to hear, and sometimes it's not so pleasant to hear the complaining and the this and the that. But at the end of the day, if you can give a piece of yourself to another human to help them transform,
Yeah.
again, what a gift.
Daisy, welcome back. We have less than 5 minutes left. So I just want to, Carol, I want to take a moment. I know we're kind of going way off the mark here, but would you just take a moment here and talk to us a little bit about the foundation and why, and share that with us? It's a big pivot here, but I want to make sure we get to it.
Well, it is cultural. So thank you for this platform.
My
So
pleasure.
I have been absolutely honored to be my husband, John, as well. We've been supporters of the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation for many years. It's a phenomenal organization. We award scholarships to juniors and seniors in the United States, which is truly incredible. It was founded by the Mercury 7 astronauts. So way back in the 1960s, 1961, May 5th, Alan Shepard goes up. He's the first American in space. So Alan Shepard and the rest of the Mercury 7 founded this foundation for this very purpose, to advance STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, within the United States. Now, back in the day, they started with 7 scholarships. Mercury 7 scholarships. I believe, and Colleen, I know you're on the podcast, and I hope I'm saying this right, but I think this year we're at 75 scholarships,
Wow.
which is, and these young people and the alumni of the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation. So it's going to be 41 years old. I would encourage you to look at the foundation because it's a pretty cool group of people, including upcoming Christina Koch is going up in Artemis 2 in a couple of weeks. So she is an astronaut scholar, and we have amazing people. But and I'm going to try to say this without emotion. It's hard.
No, you can have all the emotion.
Well, I hate it. Just go away. I'm too empathic. When my sister passed away in a tragic accident, her husband, Mark Dahl, myself, and my husband, John Tyler, we had to take action. So we created a scholarship fund. And if you want to know a little bit more about it, you can go there. But we've already given away 3 scholarships, and they're incredible women. The one is trying to cure cancer, just a little thing here and there. One is trying to cure addiction. Another one helped with Crew 11, and we'll be working on the upcoming new ISS, MIT, USC. I mean, the schools that are receiving these prestigious awards are incredible in and of themselves, and we are so proud to support ASF.
Well, I think Leslie would be so proud that this is in her name and that this is something that will live on for her forever. And I know how just incredibly passionate you were about this long before. And now I think doing something so incredible, turning something so horrible into something good is
We tried.
it's a good thing. It's a very, very good thing. I want to give people also the opportunity to find you, Carol. I hope it's okay. It's on LinkedIn is the best way to do that. And I want to thank you so much for being here. We needed about 7 more hours to talk about all of this.
It was a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you.
You know how much I love you, and we're going to definitely have to do this again. Daisy has become a Carol fan too.
Yeah.
Over the since they met a number of months ago. So we'll definitely come back, and we'd love to hear from everybody what you think. We want to just also quickly give everybody an opportunity to find us as well. So all of the socials, all of the things, all of the places, reach out to any of us anytime. We will not, by the way, we will be taking off next week. So for those who celebrate, I want to wish everyone a happy Passover. And if you celebrate Easter a week from Sunday, a happy Easter, or whatever you celebrate, happy everything. I don't care what you celebrate. Enjoy it, celebrate it, have a good time. We will be back in 2 weeks. And I want to thank everybody. It's just such a joy to be able to do this and to hear from everyone. And we want to know what you think. And if you want to be on the show, send me a message. We'd love to have you. Thank you so much, Carol. Mwah.
Well, thank you to all our.
Thank you so much, everybody. Wishing you all blessings and peace and great transformations.
Love it. See you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.